coming up this hour here on Game Night, we will get into the Phillies winning streak. We will touch base on how this team has been doing this. Plus, we will get into the latest with the NBA offseason. There always seems to be some new little nugget, new little variable getting into the conversation. All that and more still to come here on the show. Plus, coming up this hour, Dave Weinberg, our 97.3 ESPN.com sports columnist. He was unable to join us yesterday for Weinberg Wednesday, so he shuffled on over to Thursday here on Game Night. Josh and Nick hanging out with you. Of course, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. That is the text board and your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. So we will start with the Phillies, as I said, because it's becoming abundantly clear that the Phillies are going to go into the All-Star break in a good state of mind, barring anything crazy happening. And there's a couple of reasons why this team has been able to sustain this run. Now, look, I understand they didn't play all their recent games. They didn't play all of their recent games on the road, right? They did come home. They did lose to the Nats. So that is a little bit of a blight on the record. And as I've told you guys multiple times this week, they should have won Sunday's game and they didn't. But if you sweep the Rays tonight, that is going to be a massive, incredible, over-the-top win, potentially, for this team. The Rays are one of the best teams in all of baseball. And the Phillies have already taken 2 from them. And what they're doing in this series that they couldn't do against the Braves a couple weeks ago, because the Braves are the other best team in baseball, they're scoring runs this time. The problem with the 2 games against the Braves, when they lost 4-2, and then the extra innings game where they were actually pitching very well, but then the top of the 10th inning, the Braves scored all their runs, basically, and you lost 5-1. The difference between those games and this game is that in these last 2 games, the offense has not looked anemic anymore. They don't look disabled. They don't look like they're lost, dazed, and confused. They don't look like that they are without any fight in them. And that's been the issue with this offense in recent weeks, and that is the frustrations with a team that started out the month absolutely on fire, right? I mean, this is a team that offensively started to seem to find themselves. And then they came home from that road trip, right? You know, they went on the road, they played Arizona, they played Oakland, and they came home, and it was like the entire offense just started sputtering. They like ran out of gas or something. And even though they beat the Mets in that final game 7-6, even then you were kind of iffy. You weren't fully sure about the state of the offense because you lost 4-2 the game before. And then you go to Chicago, and those wins were big. And you thought they had figured it out. Then they come home, and they're Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde all over again. Getting these 2 wins as they have, I think shows that this team is a playoff team. This is maybe not the exact team we saw last year. They are not literally the same team that we saw do what they did last year. But maybe, just maybe, they are a good enough team. They are a talented enough team, and they are still a playoff team. Because again, the Tampa Bay Rays are one of the best teams in baseball. You look at Tampa on paper, they're 57-32. Pretty, really good record, right? This is a team in the Rays that is arguably one of the best hitting teams in all of baseball. They are second in the American League in runs scored. They're fourth in the major leagues in batting average. They're fourth in on base percentage. And they're third in slug. That's the team that this Phillies pitching staff has held down to a grand total of 5 runs in the last 2 days. And in that scenario, you basically just had to outscore them. But you saw yesterday when they got the 8 runs, when they forced the Rays into a complicated bullpen situation, they were able to take advantage. And now, with another game with a opener, a guy doesn't go deep into a game in Armstrong, you have a chance to take out the Rays once and for all and have a ton of momentum heading into the series with the Marlins, with arguably your 3 best pitchers going. Wheeler on Friday, Ranger Suarez on Saturday, and Aaron Nola on Sunday. You have a great opportunity to finish the job in Tampa tonight. And you're doing it because the team started fighting again. They became less of a passive, indifferent group when it comes to hitting the baseball. I'm a big believer in, when it comes to sports like baseball, the assertive team usually wins. The aggressive team is usually the one that puts out the best effort, the best product, right? So for me, when I look at what this team has done, I'm looking at a Phillies team that has found a way to be assertive, stay aggressive, and do what's necessary to win. So that's what I think is going on with this team. And now they are 2 games away from matching a franchise record for road wins. The franchise record is 13. If they win out, this team owns the record. Now, look, the odds of doing that, they're fairly low. It's a fairly low percentage that you are going to be able to be the team that pulls that off. But we'll see. It's been a fun ride. It's been very interesting. 609-403-0973. That is the text. But we'll get more into the Phillies with Dave Weinberg coming up in about under 10 minutes from now. One of the Sixer items I wanted to get to is, we've been talking a lot about what is going on with the Sixers. What are they doing? They signed Mo Bamba last night, basically. I have said with Mike Gill on the Sports Bash today on 97.3 ESPN, I foresee him as the backup stretch 4, because when he got starter minutes with the Magic a couple of years ago, he averaged about 8 rebounds. He was shooting about 38% from 3. So I think he's a very good stretch 4. But something Brian Windhorst said today about Daryl Morey, I think, is the real story of the Sixers. It's not this fraudulent Joel Embiid stuff. It's not this, this speculative, he said, she said stuff. When Brian Windhorst said this today on Get Up on ESPN television, I think this is what we need to keep an eye on moving forward.
Remember, Daryl Morey has something up his sleeve. He is a very competent, very strategic executive. Don't make an assumption that he's ignoring Joel Embiid. Don't make any assumptions with him. I wish I could tell you exactly what he was planning. I know enough to know that he's got something going on and that he doesn't show anybody his hand.
3 takeaways. 1, don't make assumptions, meaning all these people who keep assuming stuff about the Sixers and Joel Embiid and all these different guys, just stop. Number 2, Daryl Morey has something up his sleeve. And this gets back to what I've been telling you guys for weeks now here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Thursday night. I've been telling you guys for weeks. There's something coming. You may not foresee it, okay? You may not see who the players are, who the team is that's going to help facilitate a trade. But Daryl Morey's working on something. And the third part was Brian Windhorst says, I can't tell you what it is, but Morey is working on something. You know, Brian Windhorst is a guy who is as well connected as anybody who covers the NBA. And if he says that don't assume stuff, if he says Morey is working on something, and if he says, I can't tell you what it is, but trust me, then I think it behooves us to do that. I don't think it's a far-fetched thing to say. Look, I've told you guys before, I can see a couple different scenarios happening here. You know, whether it's a team like the Raptors, a team like the Raptors, a team like the Utah Jazz, or some of these other teams that have the ability to absorb expiring contracts. Those are the kind of teams that can be that third wheel on a trade. Listen, you can still trade James Harden to Los Angeles. You look at what is going on in the NBA right now. The way the sport is set up because of the salary cap, because of these rosters, because of the constraints on these GMs, you only have a handful of options when it comes to the reality that Daryl Morey's doing work. And that there are teams that can absorb these expiring contracts. It doesn't all have to be just you taking on, like, the conversation keeps falling back to, well, the Clippers can give you Robert Covington, Nicholas Batum, and Marcus Morris. And it doesn't have to be that. You can trade those expiring contracts and the Clippers' first-round picks somewhere else in order for you to make a deal work that benefits the Sixers. It's a doable thing. Do not sell that short. As Brian Windhorst said, Morey is working. You trusted the process, some of you, for 6, 7, 8 years. Trust Morey now, because Morey's the guy who gave Hinkie his shot. Keep that in mind as well. All right, coming up next, we'll get back to the Phillies and more. Dave Weinberg joins me for a Weinberg Wednesday on a Thursday here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
Saturday on ESPN Radio.
Way back, it is gone near the second deck.
It's the final weekend before the All-Star break, and we're heading to Minneapolis where the Twins go head-to-head with the Baltimore Orioles.
They're swinging a high, deep drive to left field. Backing up, Gordon turning around. It's gone! Home run, Correa! Wow!
The Twins and Orioles. Coverage begins Saturday at 1:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN.
Are you getting hit hard by low trade offers?
Ouch! That was a blindside. That's a personal foul.
Don't get blindsided by low trade offers. Bring any trade to Matt Platt Kia. Just because you don't see your new Kia on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow. Select from hundreds of new and certified Kias.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
Matt Platt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Tom's River.
What if you could help turn back the clock and help your dog play like a puppy again, no matter their age? Introducing Dr. Marty Pet's Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food called the Miracle Worker by Forbes magazine. Dr. Marty is now helping dog parents right at home.
I've helped countless dogs thrive with one simple concept. Your dog needs a high-meat diet similar to what their ancestors ate in the wild.
Nature's Blend is designed to support your dog's healthy lifespan with turkey, beef, salmon, duck, seeds, veggies, and fruit, and with zero artificial preservatives. When given the choice between Nature's Blend and Amazon's #1 bestseller in dry dog food, 29 out of 30 dogs chose Nature's Blend first. For a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get free premium dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
Study available upon request. Message and data rates may apply.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, you know what I don't get? Why is that company always telling you to just do what? What is it? To just look like everybody else? Or maybe just pay way too much for your shoes? Well, at Skechers, we know what we want you to do. Just slip in. That's right, just slip in to do hands-free Skechers slip-ins. Why? Because slip-ins are the easiest, most comfortable shoes ever. You don't have to bend down to put them on. You don't even have to touch them. Find slip-ins for the whole family at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
O'Reilly. Does your vehicle have over 75,000 miles? Get maximum high-mileage engine protection with Syntec Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec High Mileage and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $34.99. Limit supply. Ask for Syntec High Mileage at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, this is Josh from 97.3 ESPN. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Manage a up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your AC bill. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6400, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Don't forget to stay tuned. Coming up in about, roughly 35 minutes from now, if I'm doing my math correctly, use your next opportunity to qualify for the Phillies trip giveaway contest, where you and a friend get an all expenses paid trip, travel, hotel stay, pre-game tailgate party, and go to the game thanks to Phillies Sports Trips. We got to be caller 6 and 7 coming up a little bit later this hour here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle. We will be joined by Dave Weinberg here in just a bit. Before we get to Dave, one of the things I mentioned also about the Phillies before we transition to the Sixers was about the hitting. And I just wanted to say that, I'm not saying that the hitters of this team are bad at all, or that they lack aggression or any of those kind of influences. What I'm trying to say is that there is a level of assertiveness that comes with playing a certain way. And I think the Phillies look much more assertive recently than previously. That's what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the fact that this Phillies team looks like that where previously they were not assertive. Previously, they were not a team that was staying aggressive. Now they're a team that is looking more engaged, more assertive. And listen, maybe we chalk some of these games up to a bad day at the office. Not everybody has a great day at work. We all have bad days. We all have days we're not at our best. Maybe we're a little extra tired. Maybe, we didn't get the sleep that we wanted the night before. Maybe you got woken up the next day by somebody who you care about. Maybe something's going on in your personal life, right? There's all maybe you ate something that didn't agree with you, right? There's all kinds of reasons why someone could be having a bad day. And over the course of a 162 game season, I tend to think that there is a chance that of those 162 days, probably at least 12 of them, you may not be at your best. At minimum. Minimum. If anyone has ever watched the show Blacklist, one of the things that Raymond Reddington talks about when, for example, if the character Elizabeth comes to him or any of the other characters and say, hey, that didn't go as planned, or hey, things didn't work out how we thought. And Reddington always chalks it up to saying, well, not every plan is perfect. Sometimes you just have to adjust. Sometimes you just have to have a plan B, or he'll say, I had a feeling that today was not going to be a good day. And Reddington many times just kind of dismisses and, plays it off like, hey, these guys, or he just says, hey guys, it didn't work out. We move on. Like the season episode where he thinks that he's working with a guy to steal something, and the guy steals everything from him. And instead of him being angry, he thinks it's funny. And everyone's like, how can you be laughing? This guy who we thought we were working with double-crossed you. He says, I'm almost impressed that he pulled a fast one on me. I'll get him later. Then you see a couple episodes later that he finds the guy and gets, what they had stolen together back from him. So I think that you have a case and a scenario where maybe sometimes the Phillies are just having, like I said, a bad day at the office. Maybe the Phillies are just unable to do certain things. And I think that just sometimes it happens. Sometimes it just doesn't work out the way you want. And, whether it's the Sixers and them not getting the deal that they want, and Daryl Morey playing the long game, or the Phillies, barely scoring any runs against the Braves, but they're able to look 10 times better against the Rays. And those are the two of the best teams in baseball. Sometimes the original plan doesn't work. You have to adjust. You have to grow. You have to move on. And I think the problem for the Phillies fan is that the Phillies fan has trouble reconciling some of these issues that come up. I think that's what the bigger problem is. All right, so we're going to take a quick timeout here. Dave Weinberg is trying to connect with us, and I need to jump in and recalibrate. So take a short timeout. We'll come right back with Dave Weinberg here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle.
Here's what you missed on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
It's not to say that it hasn't worked, because they're a lot better now than when the whole process became known to everybody with Sam Hinkie and everybody else. They said, trust the process. Joel Embiid is going to be the center point. That
became his nickname.
Exactly, yeah, and he lived up to it. I'm not leaning into hot sauce, but he leaned into the process because he knew it was either going to rise or fall based on his success, based on if he had failure with the Philadelphia 76ers. So I'm with you in terms of that, with the organization failing him, and yeah, there has to be accountability. But maybe we should have seen this coming because that's what desperate organizations do. When they want to matter, they feel they have to matter. They want to matter sooner than later. And they have the process, but then they don't take time to see it through.
97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey, this is Josh from 97.3 ESPN. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your AC bill. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
Jane presents a tale of longing and long-lasting scent. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Add Gain scent beads for an even longer lasting scent.
Are you getting hit hard by low trade offers?
Ouch! That was a blindside. That's a personal foul.
Don't get blindsided by low trade offers. Bring any trade to Matt Platt Kia. Just because you don't see your new Kia on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow. Select from hundreds of new and certified Kias.
It's gotta be a Matt Platt Kia.
Matt Platt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 and Tom's River.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, let's bring Dave Weinberg in, our 97.3 ESPN.com sports columnist who joins us usually on Wednesdays, but we shuffled him over to Thursday here on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, welcome back. Do we got you now?
Yeah, Josh, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm having some technical difficulties on my end, of course.
It's all good. So I wanted to ask you about the Phillies because, you know, the Rays are supposed to be one of the best teams in all of baseball, right?
Yeah.
And now they've gone down there and they've beaten them 2 straight games. They have a chance to sweep one of the best teams in all of baseball. They have won 11 straight road games. What do you chalk it up to the Phillies having this recent success?
I don't know. Yeah, they're playing really good baseball right now. You know, getting great pitching, timely hitting, and yeah, I think the 11-game road win streak is like the second best all in franchise history, and they're just 2 away from the record. So, yeah, I mean, you win games on the road, you're really doing something right. I mean, that's the kind of things that they put you in contention at the end. You know, I still don't know if they're going to be able to catch the Braves, and the Marlins are playing pretty decent as well. So, but yeah, it looks like it's really shaping up like it's going to be an exciting stretch run anyway, which is all you can ask for the Phillies, you know, especially after their rough start to the year.
I mean, for me, I think that it's either one of 2 things. Either they had some bad days at the office, so they just had a couple bad days here and there,
Yeah.
or I think they're being much more aggressive at the plate in this series. I think that even when they're not getting base hits and home runs and stuff like that, they're showing you, Dave, that there's still a team that fights, at bats, works the at bat. And I understand you're not facing Shane McClanahan. He's their best pitcher. He's going to be out for a little while, but you're still keeping their bats in check while your bats are getting the job done. And I think that it's a mentality. It's the idea that I'm going to go in here and I'm not just going to, quit or give up on an at bat or an outing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of shocked by it after what they did against the Nationals. I wasn't too optimistic about what they were going to be doing. I mean, what they lose 2 or 3 to them, I think, or I think
They
that's what it
did,
was.
but I mean, it was weird because I felt like, and I mean, maybe I'm the crazy one. People keep kind of giving me the shoulder shrug when I say this, but I felt the rain delay on Sunday killed like their momentum in that game. And it felt like that they had a chance to win that game. And then they came out of the rain delay completely flat.
Yeah, but the Nationals had a delay too, right?
Hey, the Nationals did their job. The Phillies didn't. That's what happened.
Right. I don't know if I'm ready to blame weather, but maybe it's
Well, no,
just
I'm
one
not
of those things.
I'm not blaming the weather overtly. I'm saying that the Phillies came out of the rain delay flat. Like they
Right.
looked like they were just like, we want this game to be over with.
That's their fault then, right? I mean, that's not the right attitude to have, I wouldn't think. But yeah, I mean, I'm not quite sure like which is the real Phillies. We've been having this debate all year, really, haven't we? I mean, you don't know if they're the team that struggles against the Nationals or they're the teams that handles the Rays and the Dodgers and some of the other Diamondbacks, some of the other top teams. I mean, I guess it's just going to be this way the whole year. I don't know if they're ever going to really find a group. I mean, they're of course not going to win every game, but maybe they. I don't know if they're a good team or if they're just getting hot once in a while. I'm still not like really like sure what to make of them, and maybe it's just me, and maybe they are better than what I think. I don't know, or it's just been a very strange season for them, I think.
Any problems with the Phillies only having one all-star in the game?
No, I mean, who else would there be? No, I don't think so. I mean, Castellanos has had he's had a terrific year. I mean, Harper didn't play long enough, and he's not having the best year anyway. Does he still have 3 home runs? I don't know what he's got.
Yeah, he has still not hit a home run in like 6 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I don't know who else you would pick. I mean, Real Monto's not having a tremendous year. I mean, he's still one of the best catchers in the National League, so maybe he deserved the reserve spot, I guess. But
well, I was looking at
Stott, I don't know.
Well, Bryson Stott's having a good year. Bohm leads the team in RBI. I mean, you could have considered the problem is the problem for me is, Dave, it's not as much that the Phillies don't have more than one. It's the fact that the Braves have 8. And it's like
I agree with you 100%. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yep.
It's like at some point, it's like, all right, guys, we get it. They're the best team in the National League. Like, the last time there was a National League team with 8 all-stars in a game, it was 2008. That was the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs couldn't even get past the Dodgers. They got swept by the Dodgers in the divisional round when the Phillies went and won the World Series. So, to me, having 8 all-stars might be the kiss of death for the Braves, honestly.
Yeah, that's ridiculous to have that many players from one team. I mean, I know there are teams that are struggling that may just have 1 or 0, but does everybody have to have at least 1? I guess. Yeah, right.
Yes, that's the baseball rule. It's that.
Yeah, so maybe I understand there's some people that really struggle that maybe have 1, but I mean, yeah, you got to have a better disbursement of the talent there. I mean, there's probably some guys sitting home because the 7th or 8th guy on the Braves got a spot. That's just not right.
Yeah, like for example, Spencer Strider only got in because he leads the league in strikeouts, but he's got an over 4 ERA. Whereas Logan Webb, most people even know who Logan Webb is. He's the pitcher for the Giants.
Yep.
Yeah, he has a 3 or less ERA the last 2 years. Hasn't been an all-star at all, either last year or this year. Like the guy gets no love, but he's basically the ace of his staff out there in San Francisco.
Absolutely is. Yep. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah. Oh, Bob, speaking of pitching, I want to give a shout out to Brett Kennedy for what he did the other day. The Atlantic City boy got his first win in 5 years, and
that's right.
It was an emergency start for the Cincinnati Reds, and had a really good outing. And then to talk about somebody with perseverance. I mean, what he's gone through with injuries and going to independent leagues and minors and trades and free agency, to see him come back to the majors again, that was really a cool thing to see.
Well, the game on Sunday for the Reds does not have a starter announced right now.
Doesn't have a what? I'm sorry.
There's no starter announced. It's TBD right now.
Really? Huh.
So
give Brett the ball, man.
I'm just saying. I mean, he pitched well on Tuesday.
Yeah. He absolutely did. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
I mean, why not send him out there one more time? What's the harm? It's the last game before the All-Star break.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100% there. Yep. Give him another shot.
I mean, I was watching, it's funny. So, and maybe for some people, they might not enjoy this as much as people like you and I would, Dave. But so on MLB Network, they were showing the game, but they were showing the Nationals television broadcast.
Oh, really?
And I got to be honest, I thought that they were not a good broadcast.
Really? Yeah.
It was so bad through one inning. I literally flipped my TV over from cable to the MLB TV app so I could watch the Reds broadcast, and it was way better.
No kidding. Yeah. How about that? Huh. Yeah. I'm sure there are some broadcast teams out there that aren't the best. Although you think Washington, being in a big market, they'd have a better performance on TV than that. That's surprising to me, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, Cincinnati's a small market.
I think part of the reason why I enjoyed the Reds as well is because the Reds color guy, you remember Bronson Arroyo?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's the color guy. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
he's like talking about like what Kennedy was doing during the game that impressed him, and he was breaking it down like different aspects of it. And I think for me, I enjoyed that more. And let's be frank, I know Kennedy got dinged with those runs, but all those runs were not his fault. I mean, Cruz came into the game and completely like fell apart, it seemed like. So
yeah,
I would argue
he only given up. I think he'd given up like 2 runs when he left, I guess, and then the reliever came in and let 2 more runners score. Yeah, he pitched way better than his stats indicated. That's for sure. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, and it was funny because on the Reds broadcast, they literally mentioned that Arroyo says like this is a young pitcher's worst nightmare, that you go out there, you do your job, and then some random guy comes in who you don't even know because you just got to the team, and he goes out there and allows you the runs he's supposed to like stop. It's kind of
right.
So
yeah.
I mean, for me, I thoroughly enjoyed Bronson Arroyo on the Reds broadcast. So thanks to MLB TV.
There's some former players that aren't very good at it, and some that are, and it's nice to see a guy like that who can offer some insight, because being a pitcher, he knows what Brett's thinking, he knows what his plan of attack is, and that's some insight into the game that sometimes you don't get. I mean, no offense to John Kruk, but I don't think he would be able to dissect that kind of thing.
Well, the thing is that Kruk is a different style. Kruk is more of the, hey, you're sitting at the bar watching the game with somebody, kind of.
Yeah, he's very entertaining. Yes, yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
For me, if you're not entertaining me, you gotta give me like the nuts and bolts kind of stuff.
Right. The inside stuff. Yep.
Right, and if you're not giving me the nuts and bolts, and if you're not giving me the entertainment, then I'm not interested in you. I don't even know who the color guy was for the Nats television broadcast, but I just know he was not good. That's all I know. He was not good. So, yeah, not a fan. I'm not a
fan, huh? Okay, I got you.
But yes, so there is an outside chance that Kennedy, who even though he was optioned. Okay, we should note that he was optioned today.
Was he?
He was not designated for assignment. There was another pitcher that was DFA. It was not him.
Okay.
So
all right.
even though he was optioned, there is still a chance for him to come back up. So
yeah. I mean, I don't know how many options you get, but there's a bunch. I mean, I remember Matt Caesar going through this like the year before he stuck with the Cubs. He
Right.
was up and down like 7 times, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and that's probably what Brett's going to be going through, I guess.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the Reds before today had 3 starters on their injured list. They just activated Tony Santillan from the list. Ben Lively's still on the list, and then Hunter Green, who's incredibly talented. Looks like he's out until August. So there is a chance that Brett Kennedy could come back up here if it's not, like I said, maybe not this Sunday, but maybe after the All-Star break. So I think he's still a guy we can keep an eye on, Dave.
Oh, that'd be awesome. He certainly deserves the opportunity, I think.
Like, hey, listen, you and I both saw the game. We agree. He pitched well for a guy who hasn't been even in the big leagues for 5 years. I mean, hey, you gave me 5 good innings, and then the 6th inning you kind of just like ran out of gas, basically.
Right. Absolutely.
He's Dave Weinberg at Dave Weinberg 19 on Twitter. Extra point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. And we worked him into the show today, despite the technical stuff.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's all good. Dave, I always appreciate you jumping on each week, and we will reconnect next week on your normal time for a Weinberg Wednesday, okay?
Sounds good, Josh. Thanks again for having me. I appreciate it, as always.
Josh Hennick here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank. Yeah, for those who didn't know, Brett Kennedy, who went to Atlantic City High School, Brigantine native, he went out there and pitched, and he had a good game for the Reds. It's just that, he got a couple runners on. He allowed 1 run in while he was still in the game. And then Cruz came into the game out of the bullpen, and for lack of a better term, he basically just imploded. Cruz really, really struggled when he came to the game. And, Kennedy got dinged for all 4 runs when, basically Cruz was in there giving up, batting practice pitches for part of his time in the game. So, Kennedy, he got into the 6th inning, but he couldn't get it out in the 6th. They had to take him out. But the Reds went on to win the game. He's got the win on his record. And like I said, you probably could take a run or 2 off of the earned run if you were being fair. But I know the baseball rules say that you got to, you are responsible for the runners left on base and blah, 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 blah. It's the same beef I have with quarterbacks and completion percentage, right? I've always been the guy who said, remove the drops by the receivers from the incomplete passes category. It's the same concept to me. Like, we got to stop being such a bunch of hardliners when it comes to these stats and these numbers, because they're not always pure, clear, concise analysis of the game. When I believe it was 2016 when the Eagles had the most drop passes in the NFL, and Carson Wentz had that, what was it, 62% completion percentage? I believe it was. I got to double check the number. And, people were like, oh man, Wentz, his completion percentage isn't very good. The Eagles, their offense is horrible. And I'm like, well, they had the most drop passes in the NFL. What was Wentz's completion percentage that year? It was, 62%, just like I said. Well, if you have the most drops in the NFL and you're Wentz and you're throwing the ball 607 times, but, let's say, I don't remember the exact number of drops. I'm just going to throw out a random number. 17 of those attempts were drop passes. It's a huge difference in your completion percentage. So, again, I think Brett Kennedy and a lot of pitchers, sometimes they get dinged with these earned runs. And it just annoys me because it's like, that's the bullpen pitcher's fault. It's not always, the starting pitcher's fault why these guys come in, get let in. So, all right, we got some text to get to you on the other side. 609-403-0973. That is the text board. I see text coming in from George in Summers Point, Mike in Marmora. We'll get to them coming up next here on 97.3 ESPN.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Why pay retail or over MSRP for a new vehicle? Get to Matt Blatt Nissan and take $9,000 off any 2023 Nissan Armada, Aria, or Titan in stock. Or put $0 down, pay 0% financing, and make 0 payments for 90 days on every Matt Blatt Nissan Rogue in stock. Plus, if you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released, no matter the make, model, or mileage. Then drive home in your new Nissan Rogue with 0 down and 0% financing, or 0 payments for 90 days on every Nissan Rogue for 36 months, even 0% for 60 months. And of course, the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced as a new vehicle plus tax, tag, and $589 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. Experience a culinary journey like no other at Trio North Wildwood. Chef Gus Zimmerman creates mouth-watering dishes that showcase the freshest ingredients with something for everyone, including gluten-free options so that all can indulge in the wonderful cuisine. From their juicy pork chop to their savory crab shrimp cakes, every dish is prepared with care and precision. Book your table on Resi and experience the ultimate casual fine dining experience at Trio North Wildwood, 700 New Jersey Avenue, North Wildwood. Chef-driven, quality-focused, TrioNW.com.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means, wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Coming up in about 6 minutes is your final opportunity to qualify for the Phillies trip giveaway where you and a friend get all expenses paid trip, hotel, pregame tailgate, and tickets to see the Phillies and the Pirates in Pittsburgh. Must be callers 6 and 7 coming up in about almost 6 minutes from now. You have the sound to go off. Callers 6 and 7. I tell you guys to call, and you will be qualified for the contest. Don't forget, you must be present to win the grand prize. A jury in Wildwood next Friday with Mike Gill broadcasting live. ES. Over on the text board 609-403-0973. Mike tomorrow more times is great talk. The other day, Clark talked about dipping uncomfortable in chocolate milk. He's gold. He can keep me in any boring game. He's always the top. I'm a big fan of Clark. I think Clark does a great job at not taking himself too seriously, but also being passionate about the game. I think Clark genuinely understands that being a baseball broadcaster is about entertainment. And it's not about being like, I'm a former player. I'm so important, you know. I think that's what I enjoy about guys that I mentioned Bronson Arroyo. You know, he was a great blend of fun and fashion for me. When I was watching the Red broadcast on Tuesday with Brett Kennedy pitch. You know, for me, a sport like baseball, I need my broadcaster to keep me entertained or to give me information that keeps me engaged into the game. I don't need you to be Captain. I hate Captain Obvious guy. Captain Obvious broadcaster is the worst kind of broadcaster because what happens is that you're basically telling half of your audience that they don't matter because we're only appealing to another group of the audience. And
I think that, when you're doing a local broadcast, your fans are usually they're pretty connected. Like, one of the things that I know a lot of people loved about, like, Richie Ashburn, right? Or like Chris Wheeler, for example, and guys like that, was those guys were great at understanding that I need to talk to everyone in the audience. And I'm not going to compromise who I am. I'm not going to be a different human being, but I understand that I have a job to do. And part of that job is to entertain and inform. And I think that for a sport like baseball, a guy like John Kruk, a guy like Bronson Arroyo, Chris Wheeler back in the day, Richie Ashburn, I'm sure there's other guys I'm thinking off the top of my head who do a really good job. But I think those are the kind of people that I personally enjoy listening to during a baseball game. George in Summers Point chimes in at 609-403-0973. George says, "Hey, Josh, with the glut of Braves players coming into the All-Star game, would you be in favor of having a limit of players taken from one team in future All-Star games? Thanks as always, George in Summers Point." George, I think that having a limit would be an interesting conversation. I'm not fully sure how baseball would go about having that conversation, because what exactly would be the limit? Like, we know there's a minimum of one guy from every team, right? So, I mean, do we say the limit is 6? Do we put the number at, say, okay, the minimum is 1, the maximum is 6, right? Because there's 30 some teams in baseball. So what you're doing is you're turning it into a percentages game, right? If every team has to have a guy on the roster, so that means there's a minimum of 30 guys on an all-star team every year. And I'm trying to think how to break this down. I mean, I think 6 would be the number. I think if you told me, George Summers Point, that every team has to have a minimum of 1, a maximum of 6 all-stars, I think that would be probably the best solution. Because if 2 less Braves get in, maybe then Logan Webb of the Giants gets that consideration. Maybe then Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm maybe get a little more consideration. I don't know if that means they're getting in necessarily. But, a guy like Marte of the Diamondbacks, the guy's having an amazing season. Maybe he gets in instead of somebody else if you have these limits. Limits can be a good thing. Having limits when it comes to sports can be a very good thing, because you're allowing, look, if baseball is all about giving everybody an opportunity, then give them an opportunity. Stop cheating the system. Stop manipulating everybody into thinking that everyone's getting an opportunity to be a part of the game, and then one team gets 8 guys. I mean, I don't care how good the Braves are this year. It just feels, bad. I'm not a fan of it. Not a fan at all. Even if the Phillies don't get another guy in, you're telling me that Webb and Marte don't deserve to be in the All-Star game for the National League? Please, that's silliness. Good question by you, George Summers Point. All right, that sounder means it's time for you to call 609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Callers 6 and 7, you qualify for the Phillies Trip Contest giveaway, where you and a friend get an all expenses paid trip, travel, hotel, pregame tailgate, and you get to go to the game, get to watch and hang out with Mike Gill from the Sports Bash. You got to be callers 6 and 7 at 609-573-3776. You want to experience one of these great Philly sports trips experiences? Well, you got to be caller 6 and 7 at 609-573-3776. And you must press the win at Yuri's in Wildwood next Friday, July 14th. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll catch you tomorrow.